Welcome back. The Egyptian economy faces severe problems. There's inflation, unemployment and extreme poverty in this country of 75 million people. Now, a population explosion in Egypt has just made matters worse. Egypt's very poor. More than 40% of Egyptians live on less than $2 a day. Unemployment is another huge problem facing Egypt. Around 1 in 10 Egyptians just can't find a job. And government controls on inflation have failed. The country's inflation's doubled to 21% this year. It looks like Egypt's economy is spiraling rapidly out of control. Well, joining us again are our guests in Cairo, Maged Rida Boutros, and also in Cairo, Rabab Al-Mahdi, and on the phone from Kiev, Saadeddin Ibrahim. Welcome back to the program. Mr. Ibrahim, is one of the core problems here the lack of the distribution of wealth in Egypt, or the unequal distribution of wealth?
There are two big problems. One is what you just mentioned, the maldistribution of wealth. But the second, equally very important problem is the corruption. And thirdly, the inefficiency, incompetence of the public officials, the policymakers, the executive. These are the trio problems that has led to the collapse of the life in Egypt. For the first time, we had people killing each other in bread lines, the so-called martyrs, bread martyrs, shuhada al-khubz. This is unprecedented in modern Egyptian history. So these are a bundle of problems. And when somebody like Maged talks about political agenda, everybody has a political agenda, including the regime. Why is the regime in power? Because of politics. And people who are challenging it, of course, have a political reasons, motivated by economic and social reasons. So to speak out, to protest, and to do so peacefully is a legitimate right for every Egyptian to do. I'm here in Kiev, the home of the so-called Orange Revolution, and we were hearing today how that revolution took place. It was a peaceful revolution, but the important thing about it is to break the fear barriers and to challenge corruption. And that is how to have 200, 300, 1,000, 2,000, whatever number goes out in the street, despite the tight and harsh security measures, is the beginning of the end for a corrupt, inefficient regime like the Mubarak regime.
Mr. Boutros, I'd like you to respond to that. Is corruption in your regime exacerbating the economic problems Egypt has?
Let's admit that there is a corruption in every single regime worldwide. Name a regime that is without corruption. We have corruption. We fight corruption. There are cases that were prosecuted, and there were harsh verdicts against officials who were convicted of corruption. We have nothing to hide. If there is corruption, we do face it. We do fight it. It happens all the time that people talk about corruption freely in Egypt. So there are legitimate channels of expression of rights.
All right, let's bring in Rabab Al-Mahdi. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Ms. Mahdi, municipal elections are coming up on Tuesday. A, how important are these elections? And B, how will these protests on Sunday affect those municipal elections?
I mean, the municipal elections are very important, and that's why the regime have been working for the past 2 months to arrest all the possible opposition candidates who can run for them, to forge them in advance, not allow anyone to register. And that's basically because of the changes in the constitution that would allow supposedly candidates who are elected to those councils to put forward a candidate for the presidential election if he or she gets a certain quota. However, knowing this, the regime has done two things. First of all, it has postponed those elections for 2 years. They were supposed to happen in 2006, but they postponed them for 2 years in a very undemocratic fashion, because democracy is about free, fair, regular elections. elections, and they haven't abided by this. The other thing, they've been going into mass arrests. The Muslim Brotherhood have had more than 800 of their cadres arrested.
Interesting. Sorry to interrupt you. Human Rights Watch has called those arrests a, quote, shameless bid to fix the upcoming elections. That was Human Rights Watch, an American human rights organization. For a final word, there's only a minute left on the program. Mr. Ibrahim, can we expect more protests like this one, which overlap economic and political interests in Egypt that we have today?
Well, the curve has been going on. In 2006, we have 200. In 2007, over 1,000. And I think in 2008, it probably go up to anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 such protests. So Egyptians are using whatever means they can to express their anger, and the regime is panicky and is nervous and is using undue and disproportionate amount of repression and oppression and naked force. So yes, we expect more and more.
All right, sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Ibrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the program. Sa'aduddin Ibrahim, Magid Rida Boutros and Rabab Al-Mahdi, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us here on Inside Story. And thank you so much, the viewer, for joining us on Inside Story. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.